Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Time to look back at all the racing highlights from the past weekend, and a lot of it was affected by the weather. We have already looked at Formula 1 in this video, so make sure you check that out next if you haven't already. In this video we will be looking at Super GT from Sugo, British Touring Cars from Silverstone, TCR UK from Thruxton, F1 Academy from Singapore, IMSA from Indianapolis, and NASCAR from Bristol. It's going to start getting quieter on the motorsport front as series come to an end for 2024. So make sure you subscribe and let's jump into the video.
No one team really dominates in Super GT, but last time out I was really impressed with Honda, so I will go for a Stemo Real Racing Honda Civic of Kakanushin Ota and Kudai Tsukakoshi. They're not in amongst the top cars, but Ota has never won in Super GT, and it's been a while since Kudai Tsukakoshi last won, almost exactly 2 years. So let's just say it's their turn. Sergi Ara and Nicholas Cruton in the BMW in the GT300 class. Sergi Ara is a veteran, the Le Mans winner, has raced in the series since 2000, and whilst Nicholas Cruton is only in his first season, he is a very experienced GT racer.
Super GT has a few rounds left in 2024, and Sugo was not going to make a champion of anyone just yet. It was a bit damp in Japan, and so the race started under safety car. There were a couple of early incidents, but nothing too severe as the very sensible Japanese series managed the tough conditions. The GT300 cars suffered most. Number 20 Toyota lost a wheel and had to retire, whilst another couple made contact and brought out the safety car. Around the halfway stage, as cars changed to slicks, we got a slew of incidents bringing out the safety car again. Ukyo Sasahara and Giuliano Alesi put in a brilliant performance to build a lead at the front, but the real battle was in the GT300 class, with Lila Wadu holding off Takuro Shinohara for the last 30 or so laps. Eventually Shinohara did get past, but Lila Wadu put in a hell of a performance. And that's how it finished. Tom's Toyota are first and second, separated by just a point, but it's still too early to know who will be a champion and who will be losing out in 2024.
On to British Touring Cars, and we have a 6-way fight for the championship with 2 rounds to go. Dan Camish, Colin Turkington and Josh Cook really have to go for it to stay in title contention for the finale at Brands Hatch. A bad weekend at this point, and they'll be too far away to challenge. For the front three, the game is outscore the other two. Jake Hill has a 9-point lead over Tom Ingram, with Ash Sutton lurking close behind. So a lot is on the line. I think we'll see a win for Colin Turkington in race 1, Jake Hill in race 2, and Josh Cook in race 3. But I think Camish and Cook will drop out of the title fight here. It could turn out to be tight, tense, and action-packed weekend for the BTCC. It's almost a shame there's only a couple of weekends left in 2024.
The penultimate round of British Touring Cars from a very wet Silverstone. I forgot to talk about McLaren and Mercedes' awful one-off liveries at the Singapore Grand Prix, but if you want to know how it's done, look no further than the Valvoline Ford Focus, another superb livery from the Alliance Racing team. The top 6 in the championship were all running in the top 8 until Dan Rowbottom turned Josh Cook around and eliminated himself from the race. Wasn't the best race ever. Tom Ingram won from Jake Hill, and Dan Camish with Ash Sutton in 4th. So Ash Sutton lost more ground to Ingram and Hill, and it was about to get worse. He got a drive-through for personnel on the grid, and he was all set to lose even more ground. Jake Hill won a very dull race 2, Ingram in 4th and Sutton down in 12th. Would race 3 be any more exciting? Well, the weather was terrible, and Tom Ingram jumped to the lead at the start. Colin Turkington soon ended up in the gravel and the safety car came out. As it was just too wet to race in, the red flags came out as well, and we had to wait a long while for the restart. But we did get a few more laps of racing. Tom Ingram took the win ahead of Sutton. Not great racing from the BTCC this weekend, and the championship has really boiled down to a straight fight between Tom Ingram and Jake Hill. Technically, the top 6 cars still can win, but Turkington, Cook and Camish will be wishing on miracles. Sutton is a race and a half behind now, so he'll need to be flawless at Brands Hatch and hope something happens to Ingram and Hill. As for those two, they are tied on points, and that does make for an exciting finale.
TCR UK, and we have already established that Carl Bordley should be champion. 4 wins and not a single finish outside the top 5 is pretty good. Only 2 races have been off the podium, but this stupid drop points rule means he is second because he's dropping 60 points compared to Adam Shepherd, who so far is only dropping 10. Ridiculous rules aside, Carl Bordley will be champion, taking 2 wins here, whilst Bradley Hutchison takes race 3. I hate drop point rules, it's the dumbest thing. Just give them the points they score. None of this get your calculators and mathematics degrees to the ready shenanigans.
TCR UK was in action at Thruxton. Could Carl Boardley lay a claim to the championship lead? Well, he just needs to take it easy, keep scoring points, and let the drop score thing level out. For Adam Shepherd, though, this was another mechanical disaster. Retiring from race 1 in the pits, there was some good battling and a dominant win for Callum Newsham. Sunday was a little bit wetter than Saturday, so Callum Newsham was now the closest challenger to Carl Boardley, but only for a day. A big crash at the start of race 2 left Newsham by the side of the track, with the front of his car missing. Adam Shepherd also got caught up, but Carl Boardley slipped through and took the win, and command of the championship. Especially as in race 3, Callum Newsham didn't make an appearance, and Adam Shepherd only lasted a lap. Carl Boardley also had to pit with a load of grass in his grille, but it hardly mattered. Without any of the title contenders in the picture, Stephen Laidlaw took his first TCR UK win. Carl Boardley is well clear of second place Brad Hutchison, and we can basically crown him as champion once again. It's a shame he's completely rubbish in the BTCC.
F1 Academy is also back for the first time since Zandvoort, and with the title looking ever increasingly likely to go to Abby Pulling, I am going to say Dorian Pan will win both races. But frankly, I am saying that because I want a title fight over the last couple of rounds. In all honesty, Abby Pulling has been on the podium at every F1 Academy race in 2024, and I'd be blowing smoke up your ass if I truly thought anyone could stop her now. In fact, if she won both races, Dorian Pan didn't score any points, and the likes of Chloe Chambers and Nerea Marti had average weekends, then Pulling could be champion at Singapore.
F1 Academy was supporting Formula 1 in Singapore, and we had 2 races on the tight and twisty street circuit. Abby Pulling grabbed pole for both races, adding another 4 points to her championship lead. Bianca Bustamante managed to make a mess of pulling into her grid spot, extra formation lap, and a stop-go penalty for her. Dorian Pan got a 5-second penalty for a jump start, but it didn't affect her results. Abby Pulling won. Great race from Leah Block and guest driver Ella Lloyd, who also jumped the start but scored points. On to race 2, same order at the front of race 2, and Bianca Bustamante had a spin on her own, so her weekend was pretty awful. Tina Houseman also had a couple of spins, but otherwise it was a very dull weekend for F1 Academy. Very little overtaking, and both races had similar results. A double pole for Pulling, a fastest lap for Pulling, and double wins for Abby Pulling. Almost maximum points scored. She's a second place away from being champion.
Anyone can still be champion, but it's Porsche who lead the championship, and also Porsche in the runner-up spot. But I don't think Porsche will have it their own way here. Cadillac are a lot stronger in the IMSA than they are in the WEC. Sebastian Bourdais and Renger van der Zand will take the win here, ahead of an Acura and maybe a shock podium for Lamborghini. Let's say Porsche will have a bit of a mare and give us an interesting final race at Road Atlanta. As for the other classes, LMP2 barely matters these days. TDS Racing, a win for Hunter McElrea, Mikael Janssen and Stephen Thomas. I'm going in for Corvette in GTD Pro with Nicky Katzberg and Tommy Milner. They haven't won a race yet, but the Corvettes are always quick, if unusually unlucky. Finally, the GTD class, and this is the only class without much of a fight going on right now. Philip Ellis and Russell Ward have 300 points over their nearest rival. They can take it easy and let Antonio Falchio, Roberto Lecorte and Giorgio Sernagiota in the Cetilar Racing Ferrari take the win.
The penultimate round of IMSA from Indianapolis, 6 hours of racing to get our teeth into. The start was pretty frenetic. Louis Delatraz and a few others found themselves facing the wrong way or off the track. This one started to get a bit wet also. Even championship leader Felipe Nasra struggled with the conditions. Cadillac and Porsche had all kinds of trouble this weekend, starting with the 31 coming to a brief stop, and then the other Cadillac got a puncture, before the championship leading Porsche had an issue with its power steering. BMW led 1-2 and battled hard towards the end, their first win of the year, but in the title fight in the GTP class, it's tight between the two Porsches, with 1 round left. TDS won the LMP2 class, AO Racing Porsche in GTD Pro, and the Wright Porsche in GTD.
Finally, NASCAR from Bristol, the final race in the playoffs for 4 of our contenders. For fun, let's have a guess of those 4 drivers. I think Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. and Harrison Burton. As for the win, it hardly matters really. Brian Blaney, I feel like it's been a while since he won a race. And after this, there's only 7 weeks of NASCAR left. Want to have a guess at a champion now? Kyle Larson, maybe?
Finally, let's take a look at NASCAR from Bristol. The short oval would see 4 drivers drop out of the hunt for the Monster Energy Cup. Only took 5 laps for John Hunter Nemechek to have a spin and bring out the yellows. Joey Logano had a spin in stage 2, but he's already safe after winning in Atlanta. This was something of a quiet night for NASCAR. Corey LaJoie wrecked in stage 3 to pack the field up, but very little came of it. Kyle Larson absolutely dominated this one. Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, Ty Gibbs and Brad Keselowski are out of it. and we only have 7 weeks to go in NASCAR. So that was all the racing from the past weekend. This is a little bit delayed because I have a cold, and it has delayed me somewhat. I basically lost a day of watching and writing because I did not feel like getting out of bed. Let me know your race of the weekend. For me, it was a pretty dull weekend of racing, but the IMSA was the race of the weekend. By far the best action, with maybe Super GT in a distant second. Next weekend, we have a few series coming to an end, and a few getting pretty close to the end. We have World Rally Championship from Chile, DTM from the Red Bull Ring, NASCAR from Kansas, the final round of TCR Europe from Valencia, the final round of British GT and GB3 from Brands Hatch, European Le Mans from Mugello, and Formula Regional Europe and Euro Formula from Barcelona. Prediction video out on Friday, and more motorsport content incoming. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.